going back to take one of my friend's sons back to the boat landing. As we left, his son JC noticed some smoke back over back towards Eagle Point area. We looked, and at the time I noticed it was a structure fire. So I immediately got on the phone to call 911. We proceeded on over towards Eagle Point in my friend's boat. As he approached a dock, myself and his son JC, jumped out, ran up towards the house. As we got in within about 20 yards of the residence, I noticed this gentleman standing under the carport by a doorway. Myself and JC, of course at the time, just wearing bathing suits, hollered at the gentleman to come to us, and he was just kind of in a daze. He looks at us and mumbles something and just turned and went straight back into the residence. As he turned, I immediately just took off after him. As I entered the residence, it was just heavy, thick smoke, and I just lunged for it. And when I did, I was able to grab it, knocked him to the ground. As I did, I felt something tugging at me, and it was JC, who was still at the doorway, and he pulled me as I was pulling this gentleman out. When we got approximately 20 yards, again, a distance that we initially saw him, this gentleman began to fight me like I've never seen before. Because I knew if I let go of him, he was going back in. He was telling me, if you let go of me, I'm going back in that residence. It seemed like an eternity that you're waiting on law enforcement and folks with handcuffs to get there, pretty much exhausted. I remember going around to the front of the house, telling my fellow firefighters that yes, there should be no one else in the residence, but according to the gentleman, and they had no clue what was going on in the backyard. They had no clue that this fight had been going on for, felt like 30 minutes. It probably lasted 10 or 15. But let them know that there was a dog that they should locate in the residence.
A few minutes after getting into the fire, we had a few lines in place. We were flowing water on the fire, and I was able to walk away from the engine for a few minutes. When I walked away from the engine, I saw Gene, and Gene was in a bathing suit, which was kind of weird to me. But I looked at Gene. I said, "Gene, where's your gear?" In which he smiled and laughed, and he said, "Well, it's a lot more has happened than this." And also, I came this far on a boat. I didn't come in my personal vehicle, so he came a different route than normal.
Gene is one of those rare individuals that truly has community service in his heart. Gene is one of those folks that you could always depend on to lend a helping hand, no matter the situation.
It's not often in someone's fire service career to have an opportunity to save someone's life. And it makes me proud as the chief of the department of Gene for being able to receive the Meritorious Action Award. He took his life in his hands and saved a gentleman that would have died in a fire had it not been for his actions and his quick actions.